So Iraq, and next is
Afghan. Yeah. So after Iraq, uh, that deployment, we came back, um, and mind you, like we're coming back to, you see all the like coming home parties, people at the airport rushing to their families. We didn't have that because we deployed out of Okinawa, and so we went back to our command. We had to do a bunch of debriefings and whatnot, like mandatory classes and everything. And then finally, after a month of that, we were able to go back to our families. So it was prolonged quite a bit, which...
That had to be so hard at that point.
Yeah, we were just happy to, be back
Safely.
and have running water, like
Yeah.
normal food and everything, showers. But the prolong our exposure to our families and everything, that's what made it tough. So we get back, we finally get on leave, and then we come back from leave. They're asking for volunteers because Afghanistan's picking up right at that time. That was 2009, early 2009. They asked us, because we just got back from deployment, they asked us, who wants to deploy again? And everyone has their own reasons, their own stories and whatnot, and their own journeys. But me and my sergeant, my best friend that was in the front vehicle that got hit in Iraq, we both volunteered, and so we had to extend on the island to go on that deployment. So, which means instead of a 2-year duty station, it turns into a 4-year duty station. More time away from the family and whatnot. But we kind of had we knew what we joined to do. You know what I mean? We wanted to serve. We wanted to something bigger than ourselves. And so we started training with the group that was going out to Afghan. And Afghan, it was a total different beast than Iraq. I'm sure people watching this that have been to both vacations, they can attest to that. This is a different type of fighting and different type of everything. So we knew what we were getting into, and they're very blunt. That's what I love about the Marines. They're very blunt, straight to the point. Before we left, they said lives are going to be lost, because that's what the reality was at that time.
What does that feel like to hear that?
Exhilarating, but also
Were you scared?
yeah. Anyone that says that they weren't scared, either a liar or they need some help. So we knew what we were getting into, and but we didn't, like, hindsight, we didn't realize what exactly we were getting into. We're in about 2 months. 2 months in, we got there in November of 2009, and the first ID strike that we took was a 400-pound one. And for this deployment, since I just got off the deployment, there was we had about 23 new guys that had never been deployed before, and then a second lieutenant that was right out of college, right out of the frat house. We were comedy, joking, helps you stay alive. And the one to break up the monotony of deployments and whatnot while we're over there. And the one running joke I remember, we took a poll on who was going to get killed first, like joking around, but we put money on who was going to be going to get killed first. And to be in that mindset, to be able to encompass that and to accept that, that's another thing that makes people that you deploy with more than family, because they're on the same wavelength. They're on the same headspace. The first ID, it was a 400-pound one. And for this deployment, I was a squad leader. I had 6 machine gunners underneath me. And all the intel that we had in our AO was all pressure plate. That's all the intel that we had. We didn't have any command detonated IEDs where they have a watch or garage door opener or something that can send a signal from a compound a couple hundred meters away. So with me having the most experience, and I didn't have a girlfriend or a wife. I just had my family back at home. Put myself in the front because just back growing up, leaders lead from the front. They don't lead from the back. So I put myself in the front because I had the most experience and the least amount to lose. All my guys, machine gunners, Ballard, he had a kid on the way and a wife at home. So I put him in the very back. A couple other guys, they had like girlfriends, wives, and whatnot. So I placed them in that convoy, away from the threat of the pressure plate. And so we're about 42 convoys in, January 9th, doing a route that we always do. Roll over, the route that we were taking, and then all of a sudden, the way that I sat up in my gunner's turret, there's a little tiny ledge that I was able to, because I'm 5'5", so I was able to sit up, see above the 2 front glasses in my gun, and put my feet up, and I was able to see above instead of just looking through that all the dirty scratch glass and everything. Roll through, totally fine. All the vehicles get through. The last vehicle, all you hear is this big explosion, and the percussion or whatever that the bomb made, whatever that's called, it knocked me off of my turret, like down in the truck. But they have this, they call it moon dust over there, because there's dust and then there's the moon dust. It's like a real fine powder. You stick your foot in it and it just creates a cloud. So imagine a 400-pound bomb in that.
Blinding.
The dust isn't going to clear for about 10, 20 minutes. The first machine gunner, I got to stay up there and make sure no one gets in. And the last, the vehicle that moved after our last vehicle, they got to stay up there and set a cordon. Our security team was in the second vehicle. They were helping. They dismounted, helping with security, but also they're helping with for Casevac and whatnot. And so my experience of that whole thing was, I got kicked off from the blast, called ID, we pushed forward, I set the cordon, and then from there, all I can do is just sit up there. I can't get down from my post. I'm not allowed to, even though I could get down and help, but then there'd be no security up front. So I'm just sitting there watching the carnage that just happened behind me. And once the dust settles, everyone in our convoy performed 100% what we were trained to do. The radio operator, he called in the 9 line, and my lieutenant, I was his machine gunner. He's running back and forth, checking on people, making sure everyone's good and whatnot. But once the dust settled, that last vehicle that got hit, Ballard's vehicle, I just looked back and I'm not seeing nothing. And then the security team started getting the bodies to where we were having the Casevac point in a clear area where we could land, a helo and whatnot, a helicopter. And they were coming out of that vehicle covered from head to toe in blood. I just remember looking forward, looking back, and just witnessing all this. And that's not their own blood, that's someone else's blood. And a person that doesn't get enough praise is our doc that we had with us, Doc Gibson. He saved 3 or 4 lives in a span of 10 minutes that day. When they pulled out Juarez and Hamer, I was looking back. He gave the security team, the not there anymore. And they brought Ballard. I was waiting for Ballard, sitting there waiting for Ballard, but I didn't know this, but Ballard got blown out of the vehicle because he was on top of he was the machine gunner. He got blown out of the truck. He landed right, like on 2 feet, but he's a big, country farm boy. When he woke up, he was looking at the bottom of his feet on his chest. And he died a couple times on the way to Germany because he lost so much blood. Doc Gibson saved his life with the tourniquets. And they even called his mom after on the way to Germany. They called his mom. It was like, not sure, he's gonna make it or not. To be at Virginia, Walter Reed, the hospital there, because they say once you make it out of Germany, if you're able to make the flight out of Germany, you're stable to make the flight back to Walter Reed. And he died a couple times on the way to Germany, but they finally got him stable in Germany, so he was able to make the flight. But Juarez and Hamer, the British journalists, they died from blunt force trauma. The bomb essentially went right underneath where they were sitting. The biggest IED in our AO in history, and also is the first IED to penetrate the hull of the V-shaped MRAP, because it it hit right on the welding point, which is the weakest point of the bottom of those vehicles. So they died on blunt force trauma. And so like my mindset, hands down, I have survivor's guilt.
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
That, because I put those people there, you know, with the intel that we had, but it's not the way that works out, I guess. I struggle with that every day of my life because, Ballard, he has a kid. He had a kid. When he was over there, she was pregnant, and then, Juarez, his wife, or girlfriend, she was pregnant with a kid, and Hamer had 2 or 3. This is Hamer's like 5th or 6th deployment, being a reporter over there, and knowing now I have 2 kids of my own. Like every time that they laugh, the joyous part in the back of my mind is like, you don't deserve this, mother.
You? Yes, you do.
That's
You do.
the biggest thing. Is like there's always that voice.
Yeah.
In the back of my head because they're not able to enjoy their family and kids. And
you are.
Like later on in the deployment, my vehicle even I got blown up April 16th. My vehicle and I got knocked out. That's where I got the TBI and everything. But look at me. I have all my appendages, everything. It's the toughest part coming home after such a kinetic deployment where you're not missing a limb, not you're whole. Well, so people are like, "Oh yeah, you're good. You're whole." It's like you have no idea.
No.
You have no idea.
No, they don't.
No idea the hell that is going on between my ears. Especially my memory. Obviously, like my family, close friends, and everything. They know what I deal with daily.
Yes, they do.
And whatnot. But it's like outsider looking in. The people that come home, everyone that comes home, you have no idea what anyone has been through. That's why there should be no judgment. There should be no. And the biggest thing that I can say to people is just, we know you're thankful. Just, if we reach out, just listen. Everyone is so busy to talk and talk and talk. No one just wants to listen.
If I may, these things need to be heard.
I think that would
you keeping them between your ears your entire life. That's not what God wants.
And that's another thing. But when all this stuff happened, and then coming home and dealing with all this stuff, when I got hit, we always had Here's a funny story, actually. When I got hit, we always had an iPod player playing music while we're rolling on missions and whatnot. And whenever I got hit, the first song after I got knocked out, and I went up, like, I had a gunner's harness on, so when I got hit, brought me back in the truck. I think I hit my head on one of the sides. I woke up, I was just slouched on the gunner stand, just looking up throughout the gunner stand, and all I saw was dust, so I knew I got hit. And so at that moment, the first thing to do is self-check. Like, I was checking everything. I was sweating because it was 120, 130 over there at that time. And so the sweat, I thought it was like blood, but it was just sweat. But checked everything. Checked underneath, had everything. I started laughing because at that moment, that was the happiest moment of my entire life. But after I had that joy, that brief moment of joy, like, all I heard was my heartbeat and ringing in my ears, and my driver and my lieutenant, they were shaking me, trying to wake me up and everything. And that's when my hearing came back, and I don't know how the hell the iPod player was still playing after that blast, but when my doc came up inside the vehicle and started checking my vitals and everything, the song that was playing was Sarah McLachlan, "In the Arms of an Angel." I look back on it, it's like every time I see a dog commercial now and they're playing the song, it's like, turn the channel.
Yeah.
But
Understood.
that's right then and there, I knew God existed.
Yeah.
Now the path to try to connect and get back to God after everything that has happened, it's going to be a lifelong journey, just like everything in life.
Everything's a journey.
So,
and that's okay. Something that really stuck with me researching is that 17 veterans take their life every single day. Every single day. And listening to all the things that you've shared thus far, how do you cope? I mean, there is such a resiliency about you in lieu of what you've shared.
Yeah. The way that I'm able to, deal with everything, and every veteran, they have their own, own stories and own journeys. I know for mine, firsthand, I almost became one of those, statistics. I got back from Afghan. I was just happy to be alive because the first 3.5 months, we didn't shower over there. We just baby wiped, and we didn't have running water and whatnot. So anything made me happy once I got back. Ice, that was a big thing. Ice, regular food instead of MREs. I'll never eat another MRE in my entire life ever again. But just getting back, just being alive, that you kind of bring a false sense of reality to you and everyone that you meet. And unfortunately, at that time, that's when I met Sarah, my wife, and she met the happiest dude, just happy to be alive. So she got that.
But there was a lot more beneath what she saw.
Right. And we got to know each other, built a strong relationship and everything, and eventually we got engaged and then married, and then after we got married, I got out in 2011. We got married, I believe, in 2012 or 2013. They call it the honeymoon effect. Once you get back from deployment, especially a kinetic deployment where you got lives lost and shit that's happened to you, it definitely hit full effect on me. I was just happy-go-lucky guy, and then all of a sudden reality set in, and then everything that I just went through kind of just came to the forefront of the brain. That's all I could focus on, and that's when I noticed me and Sarah were having problems. And we started having problems, and I was like, no, it's not me, it's you, me and Sarah. And our marriage started deteriorating, and then we finally got divorced. And then at that pivotal moment, I noticed in a couple months, all my relationships started deteriorating around me. Friends, high school friends I had in the military, stopped talking to, and I was kind of isolated, and kind of did like a self-reflection. What was the common denominator in all of this? It was me. So I can't blame anyone else. I can't blame Sarah. I can't blame my friends that I grew up with. I can't blame some of my family members. I can't blame, the general population, because the common denominator in all of this is me. And that's when I hit pretty much rock bottom, because I was isolated. Didn't really talk to anyone really too much, and at that time, I just kind of figured everything would be better without me, and was gonna go through with the suicide, and the one thing that saved me was the guys that we lost in Afghan. They didn't, Ballard, Hamer, and Juarez, they didn't have a choice, to leave this earth. And they died defending. What kind of a man would that make me, taking my own life and spitting on their legacies, their memories? Because I know that that's not what they died for. They saved my life. So obviously didn't go through with it. And at that point, what I realized is, when you're at rock bottom, there's you can't get any deeper. And the only way is up. And so at that point, that's when I started to do some research and everything, trying to look at what other people have done to try to combat, PTSD,
Yes.
survivor's guilt, suicide in that mind frame. And what resonated with me growing up with all the physical activity, the sports and everything, and knowing the science backed with endorphins, when you push your body, right. Physical endorphins release. And so, I've always ran, not to the extent that I'm doing currently, and eventually what we get into, but I would just do like a 5-minute warm-up before I would lift.
Sure.
But I started, you gotta set up before you can crawl. You gotta crawl before you can walk. You gotta walk before you can run. And that's the mindset that I had. So I knew I was, starting from the very bottom where I was at, but I eventually just started getting mile after mile, mile after mile. And I noticed like my whole outlook on life just kept getting better and better and better, and like taking steps up.
I mean, ironically, that same running is kind of what brought it back full circle for you, right?
Yeah. Once I started noticing my own personal relationships with, my military dudes that I was with, friends, family members, started noticing a change. That's when something was missing out of the equation, and it was Sarah. I met her after both deployments, so she got a false sense of who I was, and I wanted to kind of reconcile that, because that wasn't who I am. Like, she saw me at my worst, and I needed, just like I needed to join the military. Nothing was going to stop me. I needed to get her back into my life, and that's when I reached out to her, and from there we just little pieces, little conversations started eventually growing the conversation back, and we eventually reconnected and got back together, and
Makes me so happy for you.
Yeah. So it's been a very, very good blessing, especially because the divorce rate in the military is through, like, I don't know the percentages, but I know it ain't good. And I just like with suicide, I didn't want to become another statistic.
Yeah.
And we're able to drop whatever bullshit is in between us, because we're looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is your kids.
Yes.
And then after that, once you see your kids are, the laughter and the joy, and my buddy, his laugh and Harper's laugh whenever they get going, it's like, this makes it all worth it.
It's the best gift.
And it's like, to be able to have that with her, and watch them grow and everything, and it's something that I'd never experienced, you know what I mean?
I do.
And the greatest lesson that I take from my childhood is, I know what it's like not growing up with a dad.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson. I know what it's like not to be a dad, so that's what I can take forward with Harper and Colton. And it's just, don't get me wrong, I have my daily struggles and everything and whatnot, but
we all do.
Everyone does.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But the running and everything, I still continue to do it to this day. For me, like, the more time I get on the trails,
yeah,
it's more healing. It's just more,
because you're in nature,
more healing,
right?
I'm totally, no matter what I endure throughout the race, cramps,
Yeah.
whatnot. That's where I'm at peace. And it, and also I get my best thinking. It's weird. It's kind of weird because
When you're
when you're
running?
hurting, yeah, like in the middle of a 50-mile race or whatnot, you could be down in the dumps like at mile 33 and whatnot, and you could barely walk, cramping up, going up a hill, trails. But at that moment, that's when I feel the most alive.
What's your advice for veterans, not only veterans, but for families that are watching today that, like I said, maybe veterans in their past that they haven't had the privilege of having such a conversation with? What would you say to them? Maybe they're struggling in ways where they haven't talked. How do you start?
My biggest thing is advice that I can give, knowing that I've been down, like deep, and about to take my own life, is drop the ego, drop the victim card. You got to take responsibility for your own actions, and you got to give yourself grace. I still struggle with this today, but I'm working on it. Some days I can't even look at myself in the mirror because of my past mistakes. But you gotta fight like hell, because the mind is a beautiful thing. It could, that's why they haven't figured it out yet. It could be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah. That's a really true statement.
And
it's so powerful.
You gotta realize and remember, take notes on what makes you feel good mentally, physically, emotionally, and in your relationships, and then build on that one step at a time. It's not going to be an overnight thing.
I'm a big fan of the phrase "work in progress" because I think we all are. Are we ever done working?
Until the day we die.
That's
what it is.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
I feel privileged to have, of course, I've had some conversations with you before today, but I feel privileged to have had the opportunity to talk to you at great length. You are impactful. You are changing lives. And isn't it funny when you have those moments where you sit there and say, I can't even look at myself in the mirror some days, but yet you are changing so many lives. I have those same days. We all do. Well, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I think it's fair to say that a lot of us do.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean weakness.
No.
That's called normal.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking, because talking is brave. And I don't know if you realize that you are so brave for speaking today, because so many don't talk out loud. And so what you did was something that is going to help so many people that watch.
I just know what it's like on the other side of the coin, not talking. I know what that life brings, and I know what negativity and downfall that has to everything. It's just keeping everything in.
Thank you for being loud.
Not trying to be loud, but if there's service member or someone out there that can take something from this, just like I said from the get-go, when story hit in Boston and all that, I'm an open book. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through mentally, getting down to that hole. So if some piece somewhere someone can take to help them, it all makes it worth it. So
thank you. You are most certainly strength personified, and I'm honored to know you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, ma'am. Have you ever had someone on here that ripped ass? To do an ultra marathon, it's like takes a couple screws loose in the head. Who wants to do more than 26.2?
It's a lot of miles.
Did my shorts look too short?
No.
Kinda.
I've been trying to itch them down.
It's not